Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Scott Haggerty. I am here to discuss everything that you need to know about your thyroid gland. So first things first, let's just talk about what your thyroid gland is. It's important to understand what the thyroid gland is, what its functions are, and as we go through, we'll lay out different things that you need to know that are very important. When we talk about what the thyroid gland is today, we're going to talk about how it's directly affected by nutritional factors and other factors, and things that you can do to help to go and decrease the risk of thyroid disease. But also, if you currently are experiencing thyroid symptoms or someone that you love is, simple strategies that you can use to try and help to change the way the thyroid is being affected, especially if there's already been some damage done. We'll go through some of the more common diseases and lay out what those are. So you'll have a pretty good idea by the time that we're done what thyroid disease is, what the thyroid gland does, how the thyroid gland can be affected, and what foods and other things can directly impact it. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a PowerPoint here so you can follow along. This will give you some basic format here as we go for things that we want to try and cover today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you right now, and we'll get up the PowerPoint. Okay, so here's what you should know about your thyroid gland. So your thyroid gland is an endocrine gland that's located on your neck in the front of your throat. It's right underneath your Adam's apple in your voice box, which is called the larynx. And the thyroid gland surrounds your windpipe and has a lobe on the right side and another on the left. In the middle of these lobes is an isthmus of thyroid cells that connect the two lobes together. Because your thyroid gland is so close to the skin, you can feel it, especially if there are abnormalities. Your thyroid gland is responsible for regulating your metabolism and controlling the rate at which you burn calories and burn fat. It does this through three hormones that are produced. The first one is T3, or triiodothyronine, thyroxine, which is T4, and diiodothyronine, which is T2. Thyroid hormones are so important for your body because they interact with every other hormone that your body makes. They also control your cholesterol levels directly. In children, thyroid hormones regulate their growth rates. And when you don't have enough thyroid hormone or have too much, you don't feel well and are more likely to have other health problems such as irritable bowel syndrome, gum disease, infertility, fibromyalgia, eczema, acne, and other types of autoimmune disorders. So let's talk about hypothyroidism. So hypothyroidism results when the production of thyroid hormones levels falls too low. Symptoms include feelings such as lack of energy, fatigue, sleepiness in the afternoon, difficulty losing weight, rough texture to your skin, hair loss, feeling cold all the time, and a low basal body temperature, less than 97.6 degrees Fahrenheit 3 days in a row, when you take it in the morning when you wake up. There may be other symptoms such as lower IQ, decreased saliva production, scar tissue formation, fibromyalgia, and an inability to sweat. What is hyperthyroidism? Hyperthyroidism is too much thyroid hormone in the body. When your thyroid is overactive, too much T4 is produced, and it's associated with these symptoms: having a rapid or racing heartbeat, irregular heartbeat, your eyes appear to be protruding, you have difficulty concentrating, nervousness, restlessness, irritability, insomnia, frequent bowel movements, irregular or lack of menstrual periods. If the condition is untreated, it can lead to death. What are Hashimoto's and Graves' diseases? Well, so first, let's talk about Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's thyroiditis is an autoimmune disorder where the immune system is attacking the thyroid gland. Symptoms include fatigue, weight gain, constipation, dry hair, hair loss, feeling cold when the temperature is mild, slow heart rate, depression, very heavy periods, joint pain, puffy face, and paleness. Graves' disease is also an autoimmune disorder, and that affects the thyroid as well. It causes the same symptoms of hyperthyroidism, but it may appear suddenly out of nowhere. There are several different tests that you can do for the thyroid gland. In particular, there are 5 different that we'll focus on right now that your doctor may order to see how well your thyroid is functioning. One of them you can do yourself at home is called the Barnes Basal Body Temperature Test. In this test, developed by Broda Barnes, MD, use a simple clinical, not a digital thermometer, and you measure your body temperature as soon as you wake up after a night's sleep. You leave the thermometer under your tongue for 10 minutes and write down the thermometer reading for 3 consecutive days. You don't move around while you're taking your temperature. Don't get out of bed before you're finished taking your temperature. If your temperature is lower than 97.8 degrees Fahrenheit for all 3 days, you have hypothyroidism. If the temperature is higher than 98.6 degrees, you may have hyperthyroidism. There's a resource that you can read up on this at www.regenerativenutrition.com/content.asp?ID = 574. I'll make sure to put that link up on the follow-up on the website once the webinar is posted, okay? Your doctor may also order a thyroid blood test panel that includes the following: a TSH test. High levels of TSH outside of the normal range may indicate hypothyroidism. The normal range is 1.0 to 1.5. Free T4 and free T3 test. So free T4 level should be between 0.9 and 1.8 nanograms per deciliter. Free T3 level should be anywhere from 240 and 450 picograms per deciliter. Thyroid antibody testing. So if antibodies are found in the blood to your thyroid, it can indicate that there is an autoimmune disorder. The TRH stimulation test. So if the pituitary gland isn't working well, the thyroid gland cannot receive proper input to release the hormones. An abnormal TRH stimulation test will indicate hypothyroidism. Okay, so does food affect your thyroid gland? Great question. The answer is you bet it does. Here are 5 foods and beverages that may cause your thyroid health problems. Let's start with one of the most talked about topics of the day, gluten. So William Davis, MD, author of the book Wheat Belly, reports that gluten is linked to autoimmune response in people such as Hashimoto's thyroiditis. The type of wheat that is now eaten is primarily genetically modified wheat, and it contains more genes for gluten sensitivity. When you eat a food that turns on and off certain genes, thus the more wheat you eat, the greater the chance you will turn on the genes for gluten sensitivity, which will then affect your thyroid eventually. When your body is sensitized to wheat and gluten, proteins in the food called antigens can start a reaction within your immune system, signaling your immune cells to attack it. Then every time you eat wheat or gluten, the immune system is revved up to attack, and after a while, an all-out inflammatory response is initiated, turning on an autoimmune disease. Unfermented soy foods. So soy is another genetically modified food that affects your body very negatively, causing infertility, digestive disturbances, immune system problems, and degeneration of the brain. The phytoestrogens in soy work against your thyroid, interfering with its function and may contribute to low thyroid function or even thyroid cancer. Unfermented soy foods such as tofu, soy milk, soy hot dogs, and soybeans are the worst culprits of all soy foods. However, even small amounts of soy, such as textured vegetable protein, may eventually contribute to problems. Foods with bromines, so bakery goods and flour, may contain potassium bromate, which contains bromines that interfere with your body's iodine receptors. So thyroid hormone needs these receptors to activate the hormone in your body. So you have to look for other high bromine containing foods and citrus flavored beverages such as Gatorade, Mountain Dew, and Squirt. Another reason not to go and drink pop. You'll read it on the label titled brominated vegetable oils. Fluoridated and chlorinated water. The fluoride and chlorine in water act like bromine and interfere with your body's iodine receptors too. This is one of the main reasons why you should filter your tap water and shower water in your home to protect your thyroid from these chemicals. Be wary of adding chlorine to your swimming pools because now there are many non-chlorine alternatives in the market today that don't carry any health risks with them at all. I don't know if you've seen people turning to things such as sea salt pools. This would be a great alternative. Goitrogenic foods. These are foods that can interfere with proper thyroid functions, and these foods include broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, peanuts with skins, soy foods, including soy milk, and Brussels sprouts. This means that if you have low thyroid function, you should not be eating these foods daily, including soy milk. Opt to eat them only once or twice a week at a maximum. Goitrogenic foods are foods that cause a goiter or an enlargement in the thyroid gland. In some cases, the nut can swell to twice its normal size because of a goiter. However, this only generally happens in underdeveloped countries. So let's talk about what nutrients are essential for high function of your thyroid gland. First, let's talk about iodine. The formation of thyroid hormone cannot happen without iodine. So here's some of the sources of iodine so you know that you can get high quantities of iodine when you eat them. First, fish, very high. Shellfish, seaweed, spirulina, raw milk, eggs, and iodized salt. People who are most susceptible to develop an iodine deficiency are those that are on vegetarian or vegan diets, and those who don't eat fish, shellfish, and seaweed, or those who drink lots of fluoridated water. Selenium. This trace element converts T4 to T3, which is a very important conversion process for the thyroid gland, and can lower the level of thyroid antibodies in the bloodstream. Some people notice a big difference in the thyroid disorder symptoms once they begin taking selenium as a supplement. One of the best sources of selenium is Brazil nuts. Manganese. This mineral is involved in the formation of thyroxine. Manganese deficiency can contribute to hypothyroidism. High levels of estrogen and insulin will impair the absorption of manganese in the body. Food sources include mussels, hazelnuts, pumpkin seeds, lima beans, bass, spinach, and kale. Vitamin D. This vitamin directly affects the thyroid cells by affecting the uptake of iodine and cell growth. Foods high in vitamin D include sardines, canned in oil, tuna packed in water, cod liver in oil, milk, liver, eggs, and cheese. Iron. Deficiency of iron impairs the synthesis of thyroid hormone by reducing the activity of the enzyme called thyroid peroxidases. Foods high in iron include liver, clams, squash, and pumpkin seeds, cashews, beef, lamb, white beans, lentils, and eggs. Okay, so chemicals and pesticides in your food and your environment. So chemicals and pesticides are notorious for disrupting endocrine function. And so your body is very sensitive to these, and your thyroid gland is an endocrine gland. So of course it's susceptible. Some of these chemicals include methyl bromide, which is sprayed very liberally on strawberries. Phthalates and BPA or bisphenol A found on items made of soft plastic, flame retardants added in high amounts in mattresses, carpets, and upholstery, and on flame retardant pajamas. So the state of California allows the highest amount of flame retardants in mattresses, but your body has to detoxify these chemicals, otherwise you're going to become unhealthy. Some of the first symptoms of becoming overburdened with these chemicals are symptoms that mimic hypothyroidism, including chronic fatigue, sluggishness, weight gain, and sleepiness. So there was a study of 270 pregnant moms. Those who had higher exposure levels of flame retardants had lower TSH levels during their pregnancy. Another study of 329 pregnant moms in 2001 showed that the cord blood samples with the highest blood concentration of flame retardants also correlated with low mental and motor development tests at 1, 4, and 6 years of age. So fireworks chemicals are another big problem for your thyroid. Excuse me. So another chemical that damages your thyroid is called perchlorate. It's a chemical additive found in rocket fuel and in the manufacturing of matches, as well as in disinfectants, fireworks, herbicides, and bleaching agents. So they act as propellants and are clearly tied to thyroid gland dysfunction. These chemicals block the body's production of thyroid hormones, which may be good if you have hyperthyroidism, but not anything else. The big problem is that perchlorates are found in rainwater and in groundwater in 26 different states. In California, cows drinking water with perchlorates in it were found to have the chemical in their milk. So you figure Lake Mead in Nevada is the primary source of perchlorates in that state. However, high levels are also found in New Jersey, Southern California, Texas, and Massachusetts. So what else in your environment affects your thyroid gland? So radiation in the environment also affects your thyroid gland negatively. Electromagnetic radiation that comes from cell phones is also something that affects your thyroid gland negatively. But it's not just your cell phone that emits this type of radiation. Grocery stores have scanning devices at the checkout counter which emit radiation. Carts oftentimes are tracked with RFIDs or radio frequency IDs that emit radiation. Doors that automatically open in grocery stores also emit radiation and electromagnetic fields. High voltage wires, smart meters, cordless phones, cell phone towers, electric blankets, computers, Wi-Fi alarm clocks, and all electrical appliances emit an electric magnetic field. And this can actually be measured with a tri-field meter, which is available on Amazon if you want to buy one for yourself. The strategy used is to decrease the EMF in your environment and then look for an improvement in your symptoms if this is something you're dealing with. So let's talk about foods that are good for your thyroid, because I know you've been thinking this already. What can I do to improve thyroid function? So here's a list of foods that will nourish your thyroid gland. So, and if you're a patient in the office, you've probably already heard a lot about some of these for other reasons. So coconut oil and coconut meat. Organic fruits and vegetables, but not too many goitrogenic foods. Purified water, Brazil nuts, fish and shellfish, not from the Pacific Ocean where radiation levels are high. Seaweed, also only from radiation-free waters. And obviously making sure that some of the foods that we mentioned above that are high in iodine would be very beneficial for improving thyroid function. So what else can I do for my thyroid? Have you ever considered something such as reflexology? This is the pressing of very specific points in the body that will affect different organs. On the reflexology chart, you'll notice that the thyroid gland reflexology point is near the big toe and extends to the area of the foot in between the second and third toes. Pressing on any points along this colored area and holding them for 30 seconds each is the way you can begin healing your thyroid gland. You repeat the process twice daily, keeping the pressing time to around 5 minutes. You can also begin using saunas, which will increase the detoxification of chemicals in your body, which are adversely affecting your thyroid gland. Other methods of detoxification will help, such as colon cleanses, liver cleanses, mud baths, body wraps that are detoxifying, and plain and simple, just spending time outside in the sun. Chiropractic and thyroid health. So your thyroid gland also needs your nervous system's input. This is where our office comes into the picture. The spinal nerves that emerge from the spinal cord at the level of your cervical spine or your neck send impulses directly to your thyroid gland. If your thyroid gland isn't working as it should, always make it a priority to obtain chiropractic care for your neck and spine. But we also suggest you obtain different tests for your thyroid function. If you need to get some testing done, we're more than happy to go and refer you to other practitioners that specialize in blood tests to try and help you with this, okay? So this is Dr. Scott Haggerty, and this presentation was everything that you need to know about your thyroid gland. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and make sure that you check out our next workshop, which is going to be September 29th at 6:30 p.m. at our office, titled Eat. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining in, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.